All right, here we are. Raney Antoine Jr., Professor Antoine. How are you, sir?
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
All good, man. It's super cool to chop it up with you and get to talk about everything, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate your time. You're out there in New Orleans and you're up
Yeah,
at Loyola University and you're doing
yeah,
your thing over there. But you're a
yeah,
musician. You've got a lot of hats that you wear, as many of us in these worlds do. We all
yeah,
swap out hats. I do approve of your hat, by the way. Your hat is very exceptional. You know what I mean? I gravitate Yankees. My wife is Mets. My mom is
for sure.
Mets, or was, rest in peace. But so I tolerate the Mets and yay Mets, whatever they're doing their thing. But Yankees,
Yeah.
let's go. And I'm a Knicks fan, so Knicks all day. Anyway, now that we got all that pleasantries out the way,
Yo, that's real quick. That's the only MLB game I've ever been to was a Yankees game.
oh really?
Ever.
Okay,
Yeah, because we don't have a team in New Orleans, obviously.
right.
So we had a trip to New York and it was like we gotta go to Yankee Stadium. So
Well, there you go. Sometimes
yeah,
that's all it
only
takes.
game I ever been to, bro. And that joint was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
Yankee Stadium is dope. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
For
dope.
sure. Well, New York, greatest city in the world. New Orleans, though, obviously, because I'm from there. But man, did I have a good time in New Orleans? I'll tell you that. I ain't gonna
Yeah,
lie.
New Orleans is a vibe, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yes, I always say like we're from New York, so every other city sucks. But New Orleans,
But New Orleans,
yeah, and Atlanta. I like
yeah,
Atlanta. I'm down in Atlanta now, so I
yeah,
mess with Atlanta too. So there's some other places in the world, I guess. Whatever.
yeah,
That being said, tell me if you don't mind of all those hats. I could read your bio and all the things you do, but sometimes I
yeah,
just like to hear it from the folks themselves. How do you
yeah,
sort of present yourself to the world and in your professional and personal, name, rank, and serial number?
yeah, yeah. Name ring city, it's crazy. I'm a musician before anything, so I grew up playing instruments, drums at 7, started piano at 12, classically
Mm,
trained on both. Um, and just kind of had natural talent, but I wanted to kind of learn the ins and outs of the actual instruments, and then
mm.
was like, yeah, I'm gonna make records.
Okay.
Basically, by like 13, I was like, yeah, I want to write songs. So
Okay.
it went to just kind of spitballing song ideas to like in high school, we had our like senior videos and I was making the beats for the videos. I was section leader of the drum line. So like I play for the choir and so all those things, that's always been my thing. I'm a
Okay.
musician before anything. And
Yep.
then right after undergrad, became a music educator out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Cause like we were talking a little before we started recording this Feast of Famine, right? So
That's right. You
yeah.
gotta get in
So
where you can.
getting
Yeah.
where you fit
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
So
So
that's what I did. And it's like it was crazy. I
what were you teaching? What was the first step into music education? Were you teaching in a school? Were you just teaching
yeah, yeah.
private
So
lessons, or how would it go?
so the high school that I graduated from in Metairie, Louisiana, a little outside of New Orleans. Um, they hit me up and were like, "Hey, you wrapped up school yet?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" They were like, "Well, we need a talent music teacher. Can you pull up and help us out?" And I was like, "All right, cool," because I hadn't had a job yet. I'm like, "All
Right.
right, let's get it." So wound up doing that for a few years, and then in 2019, the school I graduated undergrad from, Loyola, New Orleans,
Right.
they called and said, "Hey, we need somebody to fill in on this course. Somebody just quit." And I was like, "All right, I got you." Um, did that, and I've been locked in with Loyola pretty much ever since.
Yeah. Now the thing about Loyola, which is interesting, and I guess the position that you've now kind of, no pun intended, graduated into as a
Yeah,
professor, there's actually a bachelor program for hip
yeah,
hop and R&B at Loyola, the first of its kind, from what I understand.
yeah,
And we
in the
see
world.
like
Yeah,
we're friends with a bunch of professors of hip hop. Shouts to Jay Rawls up at the Ohio State. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
folks like that doing professors of hip hop. AD Carson, Dr. AD Carson's been on the
yeah,
show. So we're seeing those things happen across academia, which is great for the most part.
yeah,
But having a whole program is different. I know that Howard just has just announced a minor program in hip hop. But what y'all did here was pretty revolutionary. And how did that department come to fruition? And what was your role in it? Because I understand you had a role in creating it or helping it, uh,
yeah.
birth.
Yeah, absolutely. So actual idea started in a studio kitchen in between sessions in 2014.
Okay.
And my mentor at the time, now colleague at Loyola, Lavelle UP Cooper, we were at his studio and I had just graduated. And I was basically just talking about all the things I wish I could have gotten at Loyola, but we just didn't have the faculty that, were experts in the spaces of Black and brown music, hip hop,
Right. And
R&B,
you
soul,
and you went to Loyola, but you were studying sort of music. It wasn't
music
music
business.
making, music business.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
you had
music
that, but it
industry
wasn't.
studies.
Yeah, but it's a music school. There's a lot of music making going on,
Right.
and you're saying that you didn't have a lot of that aspect. You were, as a musician, you want to know the music business, but you also want to be musicianing, and you didn't have a lot of that
Yeah.
going on there in terms
Yeah.
of which is weird.
So at Loyola, it's a great program. Started by like a OG music producer and music exec, John Snyder. Um, we had all the music business stuff. We had really cool facilities. We had recording studios, SSLs and all the cool outboard gear and this and that. So I was a studio TA. So I had access to the studios 24/7. And when I did the tour, they gave me a scholarship. I did the tour. I was like, oh, y'all got studios? Oh, I could have access to it 24/7.
Right.
Say less. That's all I need.
Of course.
And we just figured it out. And we had a lot of like great people around us. Like G Easy was there at the same time as me. Matt, his manager, and then Christoph Anderson, who's also an industry producer. We were all in the same class. Dominique Lejeune, like singer songwriter, soul artist. We were all there at the same time.
Okay.
So it was just like this. It felt like a golden era to me because it was like, wow, there's so much talent, and then we all kind of go off to do our things. So when we graduate, I was just like, man, I wish somebody would have been there to teach me how to make my 808 slap like the records that I love, or
Right.
like how to set the auto. The 2010s, like T-Pain was on a rampage, and it was like, man, how do I set the auto tune? And one of my professors literally told me, if the singer you're recording needs auto tune or wants auto tune, you probably shouldn't be working with them. They can't sing. And I was like, what? And in the same fashion, I was asking about 808s, and they were like, just use a bass guitar. And I was like, y'all really don't get it.
Right.
And that's when I knew like the actual business of music was incredible there. Had some incredible professors that really got the business aspect of things, but the craft of making hip hop, R&B, soul, funk, it wasn't there. So at the studio, I'm basically complaining about what I didn't get. And my mentor UP, he asked, well, if you had to do it, what would you do? Because you teaching now. If you had to make up a program, what would you do? And we literally brainstormed an entire like 4-year degree just in the studio kitchen. And we basically went to the director, myself and my homegirl, Kim McMillan, at the time, who introduced us. I was like, yo, you got to hire this dude. We've been at his studio. We've learned a whole lot about the craft of hip hop and R&B. Y'all got to hire this guy. Because, the students like us, they're going to need him.
Right.
So we got UP hired up there in like 2014. And he just started managing studios, teaching an urban music production class, did an ensemble for hip hop and R&B. They had never had that before. And then that was just kind of it. And then they started adding a few more classes, and they had a certain version of the program. And then in 2021, the College of Music and Media was like, okay, let's really do this program the way y'all brought it to us.
Right. And formalize it in a way, like institutionalize it, not in a traditional legacy institution, but like formalize it, make it real.
Yeah, like there was a iteration of the program, and we had some shifting in like leadership, and the idea of the program was like, okay, 2017, 2018, let's do it. And then there was in 2021, it was like, okay, let's Bachelor of Science in Hip Hop and R&B. Let's properly name it. And then
this is coming out of pandemic. So like, what was sort of I guess the college's role or idea to, kickstart things again, like get things rolling, bring in people,
Yeah.
is that sort of why they were like, let's try something new? This last couple of years has been wild.
Well, we had producers, we had beat makers, we had artists.
Right.
And it was like, how do we make sure that students looking to study music in college
Right.
know that this program is here for them? And it's like when you say Bachelor of Science in Hip Hop and R&B, every rapper, beat maker, songwriter, singer, producer, everyone's ears perk up, and it's like,
they get it.
what?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. I could study that at school.
Yeah.
And that's how our students hear about us. They literally like every time it's some random student from Puerto Rico. We did an interview with a kid from South Korea. And he was like, how did you even hear about us? And he said his academy in South Korea showed him, hey, you make the music like thing.
Right. There's a place. Yeah.
It's a place.
Yeah.
And he was like, I saw it and was like, oh my God, I gotta go. And it's like, wow, South Korea, that's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. What are some of the things that you have developed as part of the program that were the things that you wanted to have? You talk about just having the focus, just having the focus on crafting modern, contemporary, hip hop and R&B. But what are some of the other machinations that have to go into planning and executing a degree program like this that you said, hey, this is what we need to have, and now you'll have it?
Yeah, so we're at a Jesuit university, so about educating the whole person, that's a big deal. So they have to do the math, science, social studies, history, all that jazz.
Sure.
Cool. But on our side of the degree, it's all about the business, performance, and craft of hip hop and R&B music. So you're taking business courses, legal, contract and compensation, things like that. But when it comes to the craft and performance, every single year we're putting out albums. So we have 4 right now. We put out 2 albums every year as a program, a hip hop side, kind of like an A-B side, right? So hip hop side and an R&B side.
Okay.
So how do we facilitate that? We have a performance course, an ensemble. And in that ensemble, not only are you working on, your performance on the stage, but you're working on your performance in the studio as well.
Okay.
So we have courses like that. We have production courses, a few different levels. We have private lessons with the majors, with myself and my colleague UP.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have some production courses that are required. So we have production of recorded music. You have all the studio and tech stuff like music technology, recording studio techniques, urban music production, 1 and 2. And then when you get to kind of the craftsmanship of things, I felt like there was a hole in the whole transition from, okay, this business stuff, the tech stuff, the performance stuff, how do we put it all together? And in my research, there weren't any courses at a college level for artist development. So I was like, I went to them and was like, yo, we need to add artist development. And they were like, oh, okay. And that was just kind of that.
Right.
So then I kind of pushed the issue this year, just kind of citing different things, the data that we saw.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, let's give it a go. And man, it's been incredible. We started it actually this semester. So it's required for all hip hop and R&B artists to actually take artist development.
That's brilliant. Yeah. I mean, we talk at, older heads, folks that have come up with some industry knowledge about the lack of artist development in the industry. Like that's not a thing anymore. Now it's just, quick turnaround, cash grab. But obviously you have folks that are just under the mainstream, or main visibility that have long, steady, great careers. They're fabulous musicians, whether it's, R&B, jazz, singer, whatever, or hip hop. And that's because they have done some form of artist development. So it's like the long, steady careers have all had something like that in their lives. So that's super important to bring into the mix if it's not something that the industry, I guess,
offers anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, another thing you said, which I thought was great for young artists, because I've worked with a bunch. I've covered as a journalist a bunch of independent artists. That was kind of my beat in New York for a while. I just covered the independent scene mostly, and one of the hardest things I always found was the ability for super dope artists, either on recorded, to then put on a live show, or vice versa. Sometimes it's really there was some really great live performers who never really learned how to capture that in a studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I think teaching that thing, just as you said, kind of makes a more complete artist. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a super focus in the hip hop and R&B program, is that you can't have one without the other.
Right.
In artist development, their final project is to have a product, monetize some portion of it, have a live activation, and there has to be a video element.
Okay.
Right.
The whole,
So yeah, the whole thing, because none of those pillars can stand without the other. You can have the record and say link in bio, but what does that even mean? Like, who cares that there's a link in your bio that has a song? Like, what's going to make people listen to your record when millions are being uploaded on the daily? Like, you have to be able to put it all together.
Speaking about sort of like the state of, current artistry, you must have young folk coming into this college level around that age. They're artists. They want to be artists. They may have been doing some work already, or they may just be kind of just breaking in, but they see that there are superstars. There are folks who make it on, again, to some mainstream visibility, some level of success without going to college for it. So how do you kind of weigh that, balance that, say, hey, listen, what you're talking about, artist development, putting out stuff, doing the business, having everything lined up, no, I just put something on TikTok and I'll be famous in like a month. Let me just get in the studio and rock. How do you kind of counter some of that way of thinking that, I guess we're seeing some folks come up with?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer that you got to hone your craft, and you need mentorship and guidance to do so in an efficient way, but also in a way that's going to give you a long lasting pedigree. So we liken it to like professional leagues, right? So yeah, you could be LeBron and go straight out of high school to the league and be the greatest ever. But a lot of people got to go do 2, 3, 4 years playing college basketball.
Right. It's a good analogy. Yep.
But then also the reality is, those people that play D1 sports, 95% of them don't make it to the league.
Right.
But a lot of them do become trainers, execs.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Coaches.
Right.
Sports
staff. Yeah.
And
they're still tied to the thing they love, and they make a career out of it. Same thing with music and hip hop, which you don't normally think of. Don't forget, you don't have to be the front facing person all the time. There's all this industry that you could be working in the background.
Not at all. So you could be the talent, and we're going to treat you as the talent. But we're also going to educate you in a way where you can be of service to the talent as the producer, the songwriter, whatever, or as a service to the service of the artist. So you are one of those, management folks or the executive folks, or you have a different space in the entertainment industry that serves the art. So we just try to make sure that our students understand this is a place for you to come and incubate, a place for you to come and learn and grow. Because when those people go out, you can have people with that one hit, and now they're playing Bonnaroo, or they're playing, the something in the Waterfest or whatever. But you got 2 records released to your name.
Right.
But you're popular, so they're going to put you up there.
Right.
But you don't know how to perform. You don't know what to do. And then people make fun of you on social media because your performance was whack.
Right.
So when it comes to the game, can you do it all on your own? I mean, you could pretty much, outside of practice law and practice medicine, you could pretty much do anything in America without a degree.
Right.
But those people that study their craft and put in those 10,000 hours, those are the people win at a consistent basis. So we let them know, like, hey, when you come to Loyola, you're going to meet industry songwriters, producers, artists. They come here. So we use our networks to educate and enrich our students. It's not every day that you're sitting in my office, your professor's office, and we're talking about the state of R&B, and y'all bring up a Normani record, and then you make a comment of this literally happened yesterday. One of my students made a comment and was like, yo, this hook is crazy. Like whoever did this really went crazy. So in Apple Music, I look at the bottom of the lyrics to see who wrote.
Yeah.
I saw my guy Cortland Jabray on there, who I've worked with. We have a record on my homie Benji called Josephine that we all wrote together. And I was like, wait, Cortland was on this? I was like, he probably wrote this hook. So I called him.
Right.
I called him.
Right.
And I was like, say, bro. He was like, what's up? I said, look, we talking about this Normani record. I think it was like 159 or 259, something like that. And I was like, this hook kind of sounded like you. You did this? And he started laughing. He said, yeah, and it's crazy because I'm sitting right here with Leather Jacket, the dude who produced it. So they got to have a conversation with the people who made the record that they were impressed by. You dig what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of enrichment we want. And in the same fashion, you have people like D-Mile, you know, you have people like Christo, songwriters like A Chic and Ricky Rich, who platinum, Grammy nominated, Grammy Award winning. They come down and we do camps once a semester.
Right.
And our students get to work with and make records for these types of people. Same thing with my guy Benji of Spillage Village. He was our very first camp. And like, of all of the students that participate in that camp, I believe 10% of them right now today have had an actual major label release because of that camp.
Interesting. I was going to ask, like, what are some of the, receipts that the program actually does put out? Exactly what y'all say. That sounds like receipts to me.
Yeah, bro. Like they own portions of these records. And then at the same time, some former students like Lucrative. He did Poland by Lil Yachty, and he's a primary producer for King Carson and Playboy Cardi, and and then we have Incognita. She signed to Issa Rae at Radio,
okay,
right? And then you got Kobe Cohen, who's an industry manager, and he has his own label imprint now. And then we got the little homies who just graduated, working in studios in New York and producing and working at the radio stations, and we have people working at all the major labels at some level, even the social media platforms. So that's what our program puts out. It puts out both the artists, the creatives, as well as the industry folks.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
What about you as an artist now, taking off that hat that Professor had, that you were just cheerleading for Loyola? They don't like that. Like, put that in the pamphlet. But as an artist, as a musician, you said you did some records. You've been, doing stuff for a long time. How do you, and you never stop, obviously, but you're working hard. So how do you balance that life? Artist, educator, and what have you been up to? I guess lately, and how do you balance that life?
I've been balancing the life since, like I said, 7-12. So it's like I'm in school, but then after school, I go to choir rehearsal and drum lessons and piano lessons. And then I traded that out in college, where it's like I got an exam at 9:30 a.m. I got a rehearsal at 12 p.m. and then a show that night. Or it's like, we're playing Springfest at an HBCU down here, Xavier University, and it's us, a local act, Kendrick Lamar and Melanie Fiona, and I'm MDing for the opener. So it's like I'm in class at like noon, but then by the evening I'm backstage with Kendrick.
Yeah.
Like during Section 80 days. And like I didn't know this dude was gonna turn into my favorite rapper. I just got on him because I played the show with him.
Right. Oh, yo, this guy's good.
Nah, you did. It was crazy.
This guy's good.
So like,
he might be okay. He might have a career.
It was, so it's like that balance had always been there. It's like I'm in class, but then I'm also like production assistant for the NBA when they come down here for All-Star weekend. So the balance is pretty much just like keep working, bro. So lately what I've been on is teaching and growing the program, but just continuing to make meaningful relationships in the industry, like with a person like Benji, with different brands and companies in the New Orleans area. And I mean, in 2020, I got the opportunity to compose a soundscape for an architectural installation that debuted on the National Mall, kind of during that like racial unrest moment. So it was
Yeah, I
really
saw
cool
that.
to
Yeah.
even be able to contribute to my culture in that fashion, right? A
Yeah.
thing that was supposed to be for like I think one weekend turned into a few weekends in a row. So it was like there for like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
So even to be able to compose a piece of music like that is incredible. So, and then just recently, a few of the records that I made with my guy Benji of Spillage Village, just released on his second installment on the Love Gun trilogy. Third installment is coming very soon. Got a few on there. I'm putting out a record very, very soon. Uh hopefully before the end of the year. But then at the same time, like there's a black owned liquor brand, Exclave Spirits, down here in New Orleans, and it's like award winning. Right. So it's like really cool. And a guy that went to Loyola with me.
Mm.
And he's getting more into the cultural space right now. And he's like, let's put a sound to this brand.
Mm.
And I was like, I got you.
Yeah.
So it's like now I'm crafting a sound for this cultural brand that, yes, it's liquor, but it's really culture.
I understand.
And telling Black stories with Black voices unapologetically about everything that's been appropriated, stolen, or otherwise from our community. So
Yeah.
it's like, I
like music.
You feel me?
For example. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then at that same time, he and I having a conversation, I'm like, I want to start kind of curating the music for different spaces. Like I'm a foodie, so it's like I'm talking about like scoring dinners just the same way that we score, like Tyler the Creator scored the Louis Vuitton
Right.
show. He was like, "Oh yeah, we actually do this dinner." Boo, 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 boo. So I'm about to score a dinner. Like
What's up?
it's I love creating and
Of course, you're a foodie. You're in New Orleans. You have no choice.
you feel me? The
Come
best
on,
food
man.
in the world.
Really, really. I ain't gonna lie. I said, but I understand. Like secretly, they'll just kick you out of the city if you can't cook and you can't, or if a restaurant,
Oh yeah,
they'll just banish you. So it's a prerequisite. I get it. I understand.
yeah. Because if I go to your restaurant and my mama cook better than you,
Yeah, of course.
I could go to my mama's house.
That's right. Yeah,
Why would I spend my money here?
Man, it's good. I ain't gonna lie. Nowhere I went, just random old place, and it's
Bro,
the best random place. Yeah, consistently. I ain't gonna lie.
We have food at a gas station
100%.
that is better than some people's restaurants.
100%. I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The rumors are real. The rumors are true.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. But that's though, I love that sort of, I'm an intersection guy, right? Hip hop and education, hip hop and mental health therapy. That's what I talk about on the show. That's what we advocate for. And that's what I amplify to people doing that work. So anything that's sort of getting the music, our culture, like into a place that's not typically associated with, I just recognize the value of that. We all recognize the value of that. People will say that, hip hop social justice, connection that it's always had is lesser today because we don't hear XYZ on the radio or in the mainstream. But what you did with the Society's Cage installation, like that's social justice through music and or hip hop. What I do a project. It's journalism, and we tell stories of social justice, inequities, and injustices, and then we interview people, and it's a regular podcasty kind of thing. We weave music underneath, so it's like a score. We kind of, it sounds like you're listening to a documentary, and then we'll break up the episode by inviting an independent hip hop artist to write 316s about that episode. Like they're writing it to that episode. And so you get we like to say it's like Democracy Now! And Black Thought had a podcast, baby. And you know what I mean? But that's hip hop as social justice journalism. It's still being done in these ways. So even what you're talking about, linking up with, the Spirits Company and being able to amplify stories of, underrepresented stories, untold stories through music. That is social justice work. Having a program at Loyola, letting, young folks come up and get in the business and not get taken advantage of, not have to sell their soul, not have to give away their creations. That's social justice work. So it's all wrapped up in sort of what you're doing.
Yeah. So, in talking about the justice and like kind of the mental health and things like that, I actually just linked up with my guy, PR Seth at Notre Dame. He actually has like a really, really dope course that he's doing up there, but he has an actual research lab
Mm,
that's like backed by like Johns Hopkins and the Mellon Foundation and Black Beyond Data, um, and of course Notre Dame.
yeah,
And basically, he just compiles a bunch of academics. And I'm the first academic and creative that he's brought on as a research associate because he was like, bro, a lot of us we're just on the academic side of things. He was like, you actually do both.
right.
So it'd be really dope for you to do some projects where we can kind of link the things. So we're definitely about to activate with that
That's
big time. And
I was
go
the,
ahead.
the importance of bringing practitioners into the spaces. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
the hip hop academia, for instance, which we talk about a lot here, sometimes gets that bad rap. Haha, you see what I did there? Because you have folks that are academics, but they're not always connected to the culture, and some of them can
Yeah.
can still do a good job, and they can find ways to interact with the culture on an authentic level.
Sure.
But then you don't get enough practitioners,
Yeah.
actually doing the thing. It's probably like what you faced when you went to Loyola. You wanted to have a practitioner of your style of music. Great practitioners, great teachers, but not of your thing. And so you're talking about the importance of practitioners being in these spaces that,
Yeah, man.
to really help capture and make bring progress to the space.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And that's what matters. And with Hip Hop RX, the research lab, that's the work that we're focused on, and that's
Yeah.
the work that we do is like it's spanning Black studies, history, anthropology, ethnomusicology,
Right.
the whole thing. So any way that I can place our craft in a legitimate space so that we can be respected, so that it can be within academia, you can study anything, right?
Sure.
But our craft hasn't been preserved. The craft of medicine is preserved in academia to teach people how to do it properly.
Right.
When we complain about hip hop and R&B artists, who's teaching them how to do it? Where are they learning?
Right.
Traditionally, when it came to hip hop, you had the big homies in the community
Right.
that put you on game.
Sure. Right. The OG.
As R&B artists, majority of the greats came out of the church.
Right.
Statistically, that's not happening.
It's not happening as much. Right.
That's why R&B feels the way it feels right now. That's why it lacks a certain soul, a certain texture, because
Sure.
young R&B artists aren't raised in church to figure out how to sing like that.
Right.
So where can our artisans go to learn the craft? And it's like, that's the type of music that I want to make, is music that makes people feel something, right? So as an artist, that's what I always hunt. I hunt for the opportunities, like making records with artists that's the bread and butter of our craft, right?
Right.
And I love the studio. I'm working on a hip hop project right now with my guy, Chicago born and bred artist, Sozi, super dope rapper. And then I'm working with my guy Nave on this next record I'm about to put out. It's so the artists are endless, but the collaborative work is the stuff that I'm most passionate about right now.
Right.
Because that's the thing that puts like our music and our craft into different spaces.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Again, that intersections, that those vortexes that get created when all the creators create. That's how it goes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So then, and before I let you go, so what is sort of then the next plans for the program? Going back to the program that you're working with, where does it stand now? Sort of, are you looking to expand, add new components to it, or is it kind of riding right now and in a good place?
Yeah. Well, we're in a great place at the current moment because we're the fastest growing program on campus. So that's one thing.
There you go.
The goal is to always give our students industry access, opportunity, and experiences. So elevating the experiences, elevating the access. We have a distribution deal with Roc Nation distribution. So every student at Loyola.
the
Yeah,
college
go
class
for it.
has
Yeah,
a
yeah,
distribution deal.
yeah.
That's got to be, I don't know if it's first. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
that's wild.
yeah,
I love it. I used
yeah,
to listen, hey, everyone wanted to be a rapper at one point in time. To go to college and then
yeah.
also like you can come out on a district. Come on now. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
so long that your GPA and your music meets a certain, you
Sure.
know,
Yeah,
meets a certain level, you're in there.
that's
And then
wild.
at the same time, it's like, we partnered with Colin Leonard over there at Aria Mastering. So every Loyola student, whether they're in the program or not, have access to free mastering
Mm,
using Aria Mastering. So it's like, yeah, it's via the internet, but it's analog mastering.
sure.
So it's different,
Get it?
you know?
Yep.
So our goals with hip hop and R&B is always to be the catalyst for pushing the narratives forward and pushing the craft forward and pushing our students as much into the limelight as a D1 athletic program will,
Right.
right? So you go there, you have a great time. Your school is sponsored by Nike and you're getting this and that and the third. And,
Right.
your experience is incredible. And that's what our program is about, linking up with different entities, companies, and experiences and opportunities that allow our students' talents to shine, and allow them to learn and grow all at the same time.
Yeah. With the same respect and unapologetic nature as any other form of music or any other form of art or any other form of study that exists. It's just as worthy and just as powerful.
Right. And then on my side as an artist, what's next is continuing to do this collaborative work. I'm really, really into the commission work, as well as the like in the studio making records.
Yeah.
Again, that's always going to be the bread and butter of our craft, but it's really intriguing to me, like the research associate situation where,
Mm,
you have funding to be able to put on conferences and different things like that and actual experiences for community members and partnering with different community entities here in New Orleans.
yeah.
Just met with an incredible organization that gives out scholarships and training to local artists in fashion and music, and even like gardening or farming. It's incredible. So just being able to lend my expertise and my craft to things like that are much larger than just
Yeah.
putting out songs and putting out albums. Those are great, but it's like that collaborative work is everything that I'm going for, whether it's in film, television, community,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
That's
Yeah.
what's up. You said earlier, when it comes to doing all that kind of thing and you look out in the world, you go, where do you learn this? Well, they learn it with you. So
You feel me?
yeah, I appreciate that work. I appreciate what you're doing. I'm glad you had time to really break it down for me and folks who pay attention to me over here.
Sure.
We'll be looking forward to the 2 albums a year. We'll definitely want to, hear what y'all are cooking up over there. And if that's cool with you, man, keep us updated on everything that's going on over there. And we'll definitely spread the gospel, as they say, because you're doing good work over there. It sounds like a fun program. It sounds like an impactful program. And most importantly, it's an important program. So, it's good to be doing, it's doing good by doing good. So, appreciate that. Anything else? Or we covered everything? We're good?
Man, we good.
How do people find you? Do all the end of interview things? Like, what's the socials? What's the way to reach out? Listen to your music? Like, and of course, where do they go to find out more information about the program? Ideally, hopefully, we get some folks or folks that would be like, oh, I'm sending my kids to Loyola now,
Yeah.
So how do we find you and the program?
So the program, Loyola University, New Orleans, Hip Hop and R&B. You Google that, it pops right up. The first link. And then, yep. And then it's the only one. And then for me personally, my handles on every social media platform is Raney A Jr. RANEYAJR, and you'll find literally everything that I do right there.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Raney, thank you, Professor, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your work. And yell back anytime, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, guys.
No doubt. Peace.
Manny Faces. You sick for this one.